For everybody that knows out there, the esports operation manager for Epic, KL, is a friend of mine, worked with us here at eBash years and years and years ago. You know, he has been in different companies as he's moved on up through different publishing and game companies, found himself at Epic, has done a great job to really push the esports aspect and a lot of things that are going on in the Fortnite world. You know, KL is driven, you know, along with a lot of other people there at Epic. But so we're working directly with them to figure out how to bring this back into LAN centers. You know, his thought on this is there were days where we would have Gears of War tournaments at eBash where 30 or 40 teams would show up at eBash, and we would pay out $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, maybe $5,000, depending on how many teams showed up. You know, he's like, Zach, he said, can you imagine if back then those teams could show up and instead of playing for $5,000, they were playing for $25,000 or for $50,000? You know, like the tournament venues themselves can't afford to make that happen. There has to be help from upstream, and that's where we're working on in the LAN Center network with these tests. Is we're working towards an official program with Epic. Doesn't necessarily won't be a part of the World Cup or anything bigger upstream, just individual events where there's a chance in every region, in every place that there's a LAN center, for players to have a chance, just like what happened last weekend at PAX. It couldn't have been a better story last weekend than to have an unknown player show up that's not sponsored and win the whole thing at PAX, $250,000. And, you know, I think the one thing I saw was he had like 200 or 300 Twitter followers before the tournament. And now he has like 30 or 40,000 Twitter followers, like less than a day or two after the tournament.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we want to be able to happen. You know, that's exactly what we feel like esports is built to do. And we want to bring those competitions to LAN centers that are small in different regions, that are medium, that are large, all the same. So this next Fortnite test tournament will be September 21st and through the 23rd. So we got 2 weeks to promote it this time, whereas last week we had 2 days. Right. So this time we have 2 weeks to promote it. We have extra servers to run it. We've got some new integrations we're building into automating it with Discord to communicate with the players, to get into matches. We're very excited about this next phase. This next phase will be hopefully the last testing piece that we then can perfect this plan that we're pitching to Epic to be a part of their $100 million prize pool that they've allocated for esports. And ideally, we just it's a small slice of that, but a small slice of that then gets earmarked and is just for these competitions at LAN centers. And the concept is every Friday over a 10-week series, every Friday is server after server after server that players can just queue up and join at participating centers. And there's a cash prize for every single server that night. Solos all night long. And every region around the world. So this time around, we're going to do regions in Oceanic for the Asian and the Australian groups. We're going to do servers in the Middle Eastern, European districts, and then we'll do servers again on the East and West Coast of North America. So all day Friday. It'll start early for us in the U.S. because it'll be the evening, late afternoon for those in Asia and Australia. But we're going to run servers all Friday that players can join in and have a chance to win cash at the end of every tournament. Then on Saturday, we're going to do a bigger duos event on Saturday. And the coolest thing that we're going to do this time is test the concept of centers being able to use the servers for practice or whatever they want to use it for privately in between all those events. So for example, you know, Friday morning, our time, there'll be a 6 or 8 hour period before the matches start that we'll let centers reserve the server to test out some, local play only for their players at their stores. The only rule we have for this, and again, this is what working with Epic on this test mode, the only rule we have with this is that there will not be a fee for the players to enter these events. Okay. Now, it's fine for the centers to charge for game time, like a venue fee. That's totally fine, and that's very commonplace, and we expect that. What we don't want to see, and everybody support us on this, please, because we will track this. Again, it's, you're in ggLeap, you're selling products in ggLeap. We don't want people to double or triple their normal prices, and like fake it out that they're charging for these Fortnite slots. So our concept for this is that the centers will reserve slots at $2 a slot. That'll help cover our administrative costs for us running all of these events, because our team has to run these manually behind the scenes. Like, they're not automated. Our guys are jumping in there. They're setting up the servers. They're sending out the invites. They're starting up the servers. They're monitoring the servers. Like, it's not an automated process. So the simple formula we've come up with is centers will just pay $2 a slot. You can reserve as many slots as you want in each of these competitions. We'll max it out so that one center can't reserve all the slots. So we'll probably max it at like 20 or 30 per center per slot, or per server. And we're going to just hopefully open that up the first of next week for centers to start reserving their slots. So we want to give centers at least 10 days of promotional time before these events take place, that they can promote it in their networks. And, last event that we had almost 1,000 players participate. So my goal for this test event is that I don't think it's outside of our abilities to put 5,000 players in this next event. I haven't talked to them to figure out how many players they actually served at the PAX West event last weekend, but I can't imagine that they served more than 1,000 players. I can't, because it's 100 players getting sat down in a local network, firing everything up locally one at a time. We'll find out how many players participated, but I don't think it's probably more than 1,000. So our goal with these events, as we get the real events going later this fall, I want 10,000 plus players every Friday to have a chance to play for money. I want 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 players on Saturday to be able to form up duo teams and play through qualifying rounds and advance through to the final championship matches to win money. So that's our goal. We're happy and excited to announce it. We'll get all of the details confirmed with Epic today. All of the graphics confirmed with Epic today. We'll have everything ready for centers to register at the beginning of next week. And then we're going to have an automated player registration site that players will go to, that they'll connect their ggLeap account, their Discord account, and their Epic Games account. And they'll do that one time. And then once they're in the system, then we're able to add them in automatically to these servers, and it'll streamline everything. Because we're going to run more than twice as many matches this time around. And the goal this fall is to run 4 times as many matches as we did in our first test. So a lot of things happening. We love this concept. We love bringing these type of events to centers. That's the whole purpose that ggLeap and ggCircuit were created, was to organize us in a big group and present numbers to somebody like Epic, so that it's not just a little eBash in my store in Indiana with 100 stations and maybe 1,000 players a month. I'm putting us all together, and I'm selling us all to these companies so that we can all benefit from these programs. What a great opportunity. So centers may reserve $100 or $200 or $300 worth of slots, on Fridays and Saturdays for their local players. And those players will have a chance to play for $10,000 in prizes. That's crazy. That's crazy.